a lot of debate on it. And if you look at internationally, say NHS UK or NIH in US, I've been looking at health technology assessments, where even after the clearances, all the regulatory clearances as the device enter into the hospital, we do health technology assessment of the device, where the device is being tested under controlled conditions. All the data coming from the device is studied over a period of time, over a number of cases, to figure out are we meeting the objectives? How are the outcomes coming from the device over a period of time? Are these efficacies maintained, or is there a consistent outcome from the device after several clinical applications? So this is what we call as a health technology assessment, and it is really something every country is doing. European bodies are very well practiced to do this health technology assessments. So there has been a number of attempts in the country to look at health technology assessments. Currently, ICMR is handling this entire exercise through various of ICMR hospitals and ICMR organizations aligned with the public hospitals in the country. So it's not something which is very thorough, but it's a process that is evolving. But HTAs are happening at various hospitals for various devices even after the clearances are done. So this actually means that after an HTA, it is endorsed by the government or a body like ICMR that we have tested this device. We are convinced that the outcomes of the device are compliant and it is good to adopt. So this is an assurance probably given by the government that, you know, this device passes the HTA of the body and we are good to go with this device. So this also would enable such new startups and new companies to enter into government procurements, e-GEM portals, and similar marketplaces. So a quick snapshot of the medical device rules. So I talked already about the classification of medical devices into A, B, C, D. This is again, it is very well established internationally. We follow in most of our policies and regulatory frameworks. We are resonating a little bit closer to the European regulations, maybe because of the notified bodies which we are following. And the policies, the standards that we follow are mostly the European standards, though FDA is a slighter or minor differences what FDA is following, but we are more closer to the European standards. And we have seen this, the MDR evolving over a period of time from 2017 till 2023, when after 2023 October, all the medical devices have to be registered, which means that every medical device in India is regulated now. And also in 2022, the software also comes into medical device category, like software as a medical device. And there are a lot of things which are happening, which are in place and which are slowly getting adopted. And the drafting of the protocols, drafting of standards, extra are parallelly happening as well. Jump this slide and quickly jump on to the various aspects of medical device innovations. This is something which I thought I would talk a little bit. How do we address with unmet needs, and how do we address the new needs from the hospitals? I just put this photo specifically because these are all new medical devices, maybe incremental innovations. And more specifically, they came from our center at IIT Hyderabad. So just I thought I would capture a few of them. and explain what and how a new device evolved through. So one of the things that we started with was looking at hospitals, immersing in hospitals, shadowing clinicians to identify what are the unmet needs there. So these are observations coming from people from all different disciplines. It is highly interdisciplinary in nature. It is not a clinician who is observing. It is an engineer observing a clinician on the other way. Or it could be a engineer, or it could be even, could be even a designer, clinician, non-clinician observing a clinician on various procedures, how these procedures are happening in hospitals, and also look at what are the problems that he faced through the process. So the basic question here is that unless and until we stand in the shoes of a clinician or the stakeholders, we will not understand what the process is, what the problems that he or she face. So essentially empathizing with the problem, identifying the problems there, and once these problems are sort of formulated, we look back at these observations and find out a business analysis, which is essentially an impact. How do we solve this problem? But more than that, if we are solving this problem, what would be the impact? What would be the market size of the problem? What is the business of the problem? Who are the stakeholders? What is the competition landscape here? What are the existing devices already in this space which are not addressing the problem? So we sort of estimate a market size here, and after going through a number of business validations and clinical validations, we call this as an unmet need. So it could be anything. So just giving an example of physiotherapy. So if you look at a traditional physiotherapy center, the amount of time a physiotherapist spends with a patient is very limited. The lack of quantitative outcomes from a physiotherapy clinic. The physiotherapy clinic is not monitoring the number of repetitions, number of what is the outcome from every session, etc. So can we look at this problem as an unmet need? Yes, definitely. So if there could be devices which quantitatively estimate the progress of the patient, estimate the number of repetitions, so that the physiotherapist can actually adjust the exercises and adjust the sequence of exercises to change the difficulty levels, it would create better outcome. So just giving an example of how do we analyze problems to needs and unmet needs. So all of these key observations lead to problem statements, to unmet needs, and finally the teams work on each of these problems. So and once these unmet needs are rated and found, we constitute small teams which brainstorm on these ideas. How do we solve this problem? Where we have to look at every model, we have to bring in out-of-box thoughts. Where how do we solve the problem differently? And it's a design thinking process where we start with a set of specifications. These are the desirable outcomes, and these are the input specifications that we have, and we get into an iterative design, which involves maybe crafting, drafting, modeling a device, or 3D printing a device, making a prototype, testing it. A number of design iterations go through. Every time it gets validated at the clinician's desk, saying that, okay, this is not what I meant. The clinician would give the feedback, and the design team has to go back and iterate on the solution again. So after a number of iterations, when the solution will converge to, like, these are the features that that we can have, these are the features that are good to have or must have, finally converge on a decision process. And then that becomes the first prototype. It will go through a number of iterations till we reach to a proof of concept TRL1 prototype. From there, the rest of the process kickstarts as I discussed before. So design validation, again, specification is one major task where a number of iterations happen. A number of specifications of the device get defined during the process. Another example to put it like, AI in diagnosis where all of us use a stethoscope. So can we have a smart steth which looks at sounds and take a decision based on the sound? So a lot of digital auscultation devices already exist. Some of these are still not smart, but there are also devices where we are bringing intelligence into this, that where the sounds go to a database of sounds which looks at the sounds and take diagnosis decisions. So we can call them as a new device which looks at a smart database and take a smart decision based on the sounds available. So it's essentially an incremental advantage over the existing steth, and the features that we are looking might change. It could be for a chronic kidney disease. It could be for identifying a stenosis. It could be for identifying some of the rhythmic differences, rhythmic changes in cardiology. But all of these are currently in research or slowly moving into market. Yet another example, a small wearable for a neonate. It goes on the foot of a neonate, collect vital parameters. So finally, it has to monitor the baby. All of you might have seen the NICU settings where you have a number of wires on the baby. So this is a wireless device at the foot of a baby, collect vital parameters, and also look at apneic episodes in baby and similar things. But the type of data that it collects, including temperature, pulse ox values, heart rate, and perfusion index, and all those stuff, which is going to predict criticalities of the baby. So if a condition like sepsis could be predicted at least 48 hours before the onset of sepsis, is something which this device is currently doing, and a lot of clinicians has vouched that 48 hours of pneumocare data could really predict the prognosis or the conditions criticalities in the babies. So this is again it is a class B device, because definitely the outcomes are going to affect the protocols. Yet another example of an intelligent phototherapy where it does a 360-degree phototherapy depending on the bilirubin levels of the babies. From moderate to high-risk babies, the light gives there's a robotic arm which moves around the baby, adjusting the intensities based on the bilirubin levels. So I will wrap up the talk here. I think I would be more than happy to take more questions around medical devices at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. John, for that extensive exposition of how a device sort of, comes to the market, the process which a lot of us are not aware of. My question to you is, you mentioned that a lot of our devices are, their standards are more akin to the European, the CE standards. So does that mean that a device which is approved in Europe does not require a regulatory approval in India?
As of now, I think it is a little bit sketchy there.
Gray, yeah. That's why I want to ask you.
Yeah, but any device approved in their own country can be imported, and CDSCO's discretion to issue the license for that device. So there is an import license in.
Because why I'm asking that question has got to do with with drugs. With drugs now, a drug which is approved abroad needs to be having a clinical trial in India to be approved in that particular